Hey guys, Vlad Moldavskiy here from MeetAdvisors.com. I'm joined with Mark Lawrence, CEO and co-founder of SpotHero. Mark, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for joining us today. You've been around Chicago for quite some time. You're in this parking industry, and there's a lot of commotion here in Chicago. Tell our viewers what exactly SpotHero is.
So SpotHero makes life easier for the daily driver, and what we do is we make it easy to book a parking space, so you can reserve it ahead of time and know exactly where you're going to park, and you know exactly how much you're going to pay.
How did you think of this idea, and maybe walk me through the history of it? Because to get into this kind of industry and to take a company to this point where you're in multiple cities, you've obviously had highs, you've had lows. What's the history behind it? How did you think of something like this?
So I like driving. I didn't like parking, and I wanted to make parking easier. I got a lot of parking tickets, and so did my co-founder, Jeremy Smith. And so what we did is we started by selling parking online at Wrigley Field with the goal of being able to sell it everywhere in the city. And so we started with parking there.
What have been some of the challenges when launching this kind of business? Besides the proof of concept, which probably was a big challenge at first, what have been some of the big time challenges that you had to find solutions for and you had to overcome?
I think some of the biggest challenges early on was, operational. We were selling parking, and it's very easy to say, okay, you've got empty space and you've got a consumer that wants to park there, but the question is, how do you get someone in and out of a space? And so, early on we were having challenges with, spaces that actually were full, as it relates to the individual, people that we were selling parking with. When we started to move into the larger garages and lots, it became easier, but then there were new challenges with getting someone in and out of a location, whether it's with a gate that you have to get, up and down, and working through a lot of those challenges with the companies so we can make someone park and have a really good experience is something that we really had to work through.
Who are some of the big players that you're partnering up with here in the city? And then, maybe touch on what other cities you're in, and do you have plans to be in more cities than you are right now?
So we have an expansion plan for, new cities, some of our current cities. You mentioned the big players, for example, we work with Laz Parking and ABM Parking. These are two companies in particular that we're in multiple cities with, nationwide. We started the relationship here, and we are live in multiple cities selling parking with both of those companies, in addition to many others.
How many guys do you have running this whole operation right now in terms of employees, and if you have consultants, things like that?
Yeah, so we have 25 full-time people, and majority of those people are based in Chicago, and then we have some that are on the East and West Coast.
Are you looking to hire more in Chicago, or obviously while you're growing, like you said, you have a lot of the people, centralized here in Chicago. How do you plan to, set the business up in the future?
So most of the hiring is going to be done in Chicago, but we are looking for certain individuals in other cities.
Great. Tell me, what has been some big milestones for you guys over the last, couple years, or, since you launched the company?
So I think, one of the biggest milestones, for us is when, we crossed, 100,000 reservations.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty exciting. And, I remember celebrating, happy 1,000 and happy 10,000. Yeah. And what's interesting is being able to celebrate that with a lot of the, parking partners that, they've seen the growth, and that's been kind of, fun.
So you have a lot of people parking. You have a huge audience. Do you mind, I don't know if this is getting too, involved or, getting too nosy, but how many people are using the app now?
So while we don't release figures, we've got hundreds of thousands of customers. The app, we are live on both Android and iPhone.
So I told you I'm going to do like a little knockout for you and kind of throw you off and, keep everyone entertained. And you don't have to answer it, but what's the number? What's the number for you to, leave SpotHero and, get on? And I told you it's going to be, tricky.
So it's an interesting question. I don't know if I would agree so much that it's a knockout, but what I would say is I really haven't thought about that because what's most interesting to me is not the money to like sell SpotHero or leave SpotHero, but I want this to work. We have so many different industries where you have Grubhub and you can order your food very easily. You have Orbitz or any number of sites where you can get an airline ticket very easily, but you can't find parking very easily. It's difficult to find parking. So I get most excited about solving that and game changing the way that people park, and as opposed to the specific number to not do that.
Of course, of course. One thing I like to ask all entrepreneurs that come by to MeetAdvisors is really what's one piece of advice you would give to our community? Just either if it's a guy just starting out with really a great idea, but he doesn't know how to market, or he doesn't know how to raise money, or he doesn't have the resources to do biz dev, or things like that. What's one piece of advice you would give to an entrepreneur that's just starting, and then an entrepreneur that is growing, scaling, and ideally selling his business?
So you mentioned a lot of different things, from marketing or raising money, and I think aside from all of the things, that there are a lot of tips and a lot of people way better qualified to answer things specifically to that. But if I were to say one thing that I believe is the most important for someone starting, is focus on what is the value proposition to your users. Focus on that, making it valuable, even if it's just to 5 people. But whoever uses your product or your idea, there's all these operational things and all these things that would make something like building a company easier. But I think the number one thing is, why would someone use your product? What is the benefit? And focus on that.
So, before we wrap things up, what's the best way for individuals to get your product? To download it? Where do you go? And then can you go on the website? And if you can't go on the website to download it, what's your website?
So our website is SpotHero.com, and we do have a website where you can reserve and pre-book parking. But the largest amount of our business and the most valuable in terms of value proposition to the user would be to check out our mobile app on Android or iPhone and start parking today.
Guys, check out SpotHero.com, check out the App Store, and check out the Android Store, and make sure you're checking out for MeetAdvisors more videos and blogs. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff.